Everyone, welcome back. Hope you are doing good. This is Mahesh. In this video, we will continue on array series. So in this video, we will learn on the basics of the arrays in Java. So let us try to understand how to declare an array and how to initialize the array and how to iterate over the elements of the array and also how to access and all those things. So let's get started. So let us first try to understand how to declare an array. Declaration. So basically how we do, we use data type, then we have to use square brackets to indicate that it is a 1D array, and then we will have to use the array name. This is a variable name, and then this is how we declare. So there is one more way where we can use data type, then name. In front of name, we can give square brackets. Ideally, this is the preferred way since it is more readable. Okay. So if that is the case, this is basically the dynamic declaration. So what exactly mean dynamic declaration? So we are not declaring any size here in this case. Say for example, I am trying to declare an array of integers and its name is ARR. Okay. So this is my dynamic declaration of this particular array where I am not specifying its size. Okay. So I can declare like this, or I can also declare something like this. Okay. So this is how we do the array declaration. Now, how to initialize the array? This is the way we declare the array, but how to initialize the array? So now here arrays in Java are of fixed size. Okay. So even though they are dynamic, but before using those arrays, we will have to specify its size. So what I will do, I will say ARR equal to new int of some size. So this size can be an integer value. So let us assume I use size of 5 here. So here what it does, Java will interpret it as the array of integers with 5 values or with size 5. So there are some more different ways. I mean, if at all I know already, I mean, what are the elements that I'm going to store in the array, then I really don't need to specify the size. I can simply say int maybe array1 equal to new int, then I can specify my numbers something like this. So what it will does, it will create an array of size 4 and initialize it with 4 elements 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now there is a shorthand property or shorthand syntax for this particular initialization. So that is something like int array1 equal to, we can simply say something like this. So it will automatically understand it's a 1D array of size 4 elements of int data type. Okay. So this is how we initialize the array. This is for int type. So we can use either primitive types like int, string, bool, etc. And also we can use complex objects. We can use complex objects. So complex objects in the sense, I can create a type such as some student type. Maybe I can create a class student and it contains some properties, property 1, property 2, something like this. Then what I can do, I can create array of type student. So we can use primitive types, or also we can use the complex object types here. Now this is about the initialization. Now how to access the elements from the array. Now one thing what we should understand here, arrays in Java are zero-based indexed values. So basically if we created this array, then its first element is at 0th index, second element is at first index, third element is at second index, and fourth element is at third index. So basically it is a zero-based indexing. Zero-based indexing. Now if I want to read any particular element, say for example this 2 I want to read, then I will have to read it through its index. So it is at index 1. So what I can do, if I want to read this particular value, I can say array1 square bracket and I have to mention its index value. Okay, so this way what we can do, we can read the value at index 1. So for remaining elements, in the same way, for element at 0th index, it should be array1 of 0, and for this one it is array of 2, something like that. Now if I want to make some modification, say for example I want to change this 2 to something else. So if I want to do that, then what I can do, array1 of 1 equal to my new element, and whatever the new element I will give, that should be of the same type here. That should be of the same type, which means it should be an integer number. So I can say some 10. Okay, so this way what it does, it will replace this 2 with value 10. Okay, this is how we access the elements. Now I have some array, but I don't know what is its size. So how to get the size of the array? How to get the size of the array? So basically array gives us a property called length, which gives us the size of the array. So if I want to get to know the size of array, then what I can do, I can say array1 dot length. This is not a method, this is a property. So this will give us the length of the array or size of the array. So here in this case it is 4. It is 4. So 4 will be assigned to this particular variable. Okay. Now this gives us the size of the array. Now assume I am trying to access the elements. There are only 4 elements in the array, but now what I will do, I will try to access the non-available index, maybe 5th element. So it means 4th index. So index equal to 4 means 5th element. Say for example R1 of 4. In this case, my Java, what it will do, it will give me exception, array out of bound exception. Because one thing what we should understand here, whenever we create an array in Java, it is of fixed size. So if at all now I am trying to access the element outside that particular size, that time it will give us array out of bound exception. Okay. Now we know all these things. Now let us assume I have this array1 equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 with me. Now what I want to do, I want to iterate over all the elements and I want to do something. Maybe I want to modify them or I want to do some other operation. So in that case, how we can do that? So we have different loops available to iterate over the elements of the array. The standard, we will consider the standard one, for loop, and you can also use while loop, do while loop, and all those loops. So in this case, we can use for loop, and since it is a zero-based indexing, I will use a variable of type int I equal to 0, then I less than r1 of r1 dot length, which gives me the size of the array, then I plus plus, then inside this I will do whatever I want to do. Or if I want to access the array1 elements, then I can do something like this. In square bracket I will give I. So if I do this, then what it will do, first it will access the element at 0th index, then I gets incremented, then next index, then next index, then next index. Once the index exceeds the n minus 1 value, that time this array stops. So this is how we access elements in an array using standard for loop. Now there is one more way where we can use for each loop. It is a bit concised syntax on the standard for loop. It gives more readability. So how we can do that? So we can use the same for, then the type of the element, and then some name, then colon, you can give your array name. You can give your array name, and inside that this will give us each value of the array element. Okay, so that's how we can access this particular array using for each loop as well. In this particular example, it can be for int number colon arr1, and what we can do, we can say system dot out dot println of num. So what this will do, this will print us number from 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this, one after the other. Okay, let's look into these things. I have created a class array.java here, and let us create a static void main method. Inside that, let's try to declare an array and try to access it. So let's declare an array, or let's declare an array int r square brackets, and this will declare as array dynamically, and the other way would be int square brackets. So this will declare as another array without size. Okay, so these are the ways using which we can declare the array, and this is the most preferred syntax. Okay, so now this is how we declare. Now let us look into how to initialize. So now I will use arr, and I will use new int, and we can give any size. So let us declare the array with size 5. This is one way. The other way would be, so I will comment out this one, I will use the different one, and I can say new int, then square brackets, then I can give my values something like this. This is one more way. Now let us try to print them. So I will use for loop for now, int I equal to 0, I less than dot length I plus plus system dot out println, then I will say, okay, so let us try to run this one and see what we will get. We will get all the numbers printed here. Okay, now there is one more way. I mean, if you really know the values that you are going to store in the array, then you really don't need to make this also. That's a shorthand way of declaring or initializing this particular array. So you can simply do like this, where we will have to specify int, I will use a different name 2 and then 2. So I will save it and I will run this one. Okay, so this is one more way. Now what I want to do, I want to replace this particular 3 with some different value. So how we can do? I will use array2 and its index is 0, 1, 2 and I will access it using its index and then I will change the value. Now I will save it and if I run it again, see my value is now updated with 10. Okay, so this is how we can update. Now let me try to access the value outside this particular array. So I will simply say array2 of 5 equal to array2 of maybe 6 because that should be outside equal to some 10. Then let us try to run it. If you see, we will get array index out of bound exception because there are only 5 elements, but we are trying to access the element with 6th index. So it is outside the array. That's why it gives us array index out of bound exception. Okay. Now we know how to access or how to iterate over the elements of an array, something like this. So using for loop, I mean, we can iterate and we can try to perform some action inside this for loop. Now I'm trying to print here, but one more thing what we can do, we can simply square the number and we can print them. So that is one small example I'm trying to execute here. So if I do that, I will comment this because it won't execute after this since it is giving exception. So I will comment this and I will run. So if you see, we will get the squared numbers as the output. Okay, so this is one way of iterating. Let us use the for each loop way. So it's a concised syntax where I can say int num colon, then I should specify my array name. Then inside what I can do, I can do the same thing. I will copy this. I will comment this for now. So now if we run this code, something is wrong. Okay, there is I. We should not access it using I. We should use num. So it will be num star num. Then what we can do, we can simply run and we will get the square numbers. Okay, so this is how we use for and for each loops to iterate over the elements of the array. Now, apart from this, there are few more utility methods that are available from java.util.arrays package, where you can simply sort the numbers, or you can maybe you can do the binary search, and there are many functions that that particular package provides. So you can use them whenever necessary, and you can explore them offline. That's it for this video. Hope you like the content. If that is the case, please consider subscribing to my channel and also share it with your friends. Thanks for